Hi, my name is Elijah, and I'm here to show you a pattern that I found using the Fibonacci sequence. It's a toroidal pattern. A lot of people have found a cycle pattern using the number 1, which goes down. If you can see, it goes down 60 times. I found it also, but then I found other websites and stuff where other people found this same cycle pattern. And what they do is they only use the first digit of each sum of the number. And if you do that, it only goes down 60 times and then cycles back on itself, right? Okay, however, I took it a step further and I ran it through each single digit number. And if you do that, you come up with 3 different sets of numbers. The number 1 and all other odd numbers except for the number 5 you come up with the same set of numbers. They all go down 60 times and then repeat on themselves. These numbers right here at the top, the blue and magenta, they represent the spot. Well, let me just explain to you. It's okay, so the number 1 cycle pattern is kind of like the master pattern, right? But okay, so number 3, if you can see at the top right there, it says 45. Well, the 45th digit on the number 1 pattern would be 03, because they all start on what's called Fibonacci periods. You have to look that up. So you can go down right here and you'll see the 45th number of the number 1 sequence is 03, or 30, I mean, sorry. So it's a 0, but it's preceded by a 3, and then the next 2 are 3, just as you can see right there, and then so on and so on. The number 7 is the 15th number. You can see it would be a 07. So 15 is right there, and then you can see the 077. Okay, and it's the same with the even numbers, except for since they only cycle back, they only go down 20 times before they cycle back. So I just went ahead and filled it in to go ahead and match the length of the number 1 pattern. But the number 4, as you can see, goes down 15 times, and then so it's a 4044. Those are actually not Fibonacci periods because they're even numbers, but I guess that's not even the Fibonacci sequence because it's even numbers, and it's just the same method as finding a Fibonacci sequence. And the number 5s, they only go down 3 times, so there is no blue or magenta at the top. So another thing that I noticed is that you see these red zeros right here, or the red rows, 0s and 5s and then 0s. It corresponds with every 0 in the 2 corresponds with the 0 or 5 in the 1. And if you look at them, it's a 0, 5, 5, 0, 5, 5, 0, which is this pattern, the 0, 5, 5, 0. Which makes me think that these are 3 parts to a puzzle. The Fibonacci sequence is actually the first part of the puzzle. Now, what I also found is that if you start, these zeros at the top right here are actually the same zeros as the number 60. Okay, so those you would fold them and overlap them, and then fold. And then you fold those and overlap them to make a big cycle pattern using all the numbers. But then these ones right here would connect the zeros on this side, and the zeros right here. And the way I came up with these zeros is that the number 10, if you were to use that number and you use the same method as a Fibonacci sequence, you would come up with this number, except the number 1, or number set, except with a 0 at the end. So since we're only using the first digits, I use a 0. If you keep on going further on over here, or keep on going, and you could make this pattern as big as you wanted. Just keep on adding the same numbers. It'd be like a giant quilt. So you could actually make this toroid pattern as big as you want. Just depending on how many times you repeated the pattern. So it's like, okay, so if you connect the top zeros with the bottom zeros first, and then the side zeros with each other, you'll come up with this, a torus, a spindle torus. Okay, now if you were to connect these zeros with these zeros first, and then the top and bottom zeros, you would come up with this kind of torus, a ring torus. So either way, you come up with the torus, and what's interesting is that's the shape of a magnetic field, but however, it's without the vortex of a magnetic field. So I'm not a mathematician. Again, I'm guessing that if you are, you might notice a vortex using the numbers. I don't know. I'm not sure. But another thing is that another possibility is that since this 20, or the number 2 pattern only goes down 20 times, that this would actually make 2 different toroids, both a ring torus and a spindle torus. The even numbers would go into the ring form the ring torus, which would be inside of the number 1 spindle torus, which would be a bigger torus, or something like that. However, I don't know where the 5s would fit into that. It looks more symmetrical, and it just looks like it's supposed to be there when you look at it like this. Like there's one thing that I noticed is that there is 24 squares, 2 rows of 12 squares, 12 rows of 2 squares each. Right here. Alright, this each 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shoot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. So that's 24 squares. I've had the websites where I looked up where there was a 60 cycle pattern. They likened it to the numbers on the clock, and there's 12 hours on the clock. There's actually 24 hours in a day, but I'm thinking that this has something more to do with the magnetic field, but I don't know. I'm not a mathematician, I'm not a scientist. I'm just a regular guy that noticed the pattern. So if you can tell me if you're aware of this all going together like this, I'd like to know. And maybe if you know something that this could be used for, I'd like to know that too. Or any ideas, put them in the comments. Alright, thank you.